Hey folks, it's me Rena from Snarks Crochet, and in today's video we're making more blankets. Welcome to part 5 of me making blankets for the box of 500. I have not checked in a while, primarily because I haven't really done a lot with this for a while. Trust me, the blanket squares are still in my room. I have quite a bit of them. It's low-key overwhelming my space. I have not given up on making blankets yet. I just haven't made any in a very long time. In some of my Vlogmas videos back when I did Vlogmas last year, I did assemble one blanket, which is this one right here. I assembled it. I just need to add a border and then this one is good to go. And then off camera, like, no filming at all, I actually did complete a blanket. And this is the blanket I assembled. This one is assembled using my standard means of assembling, which for me has been just single crocheting everything together. This kind of leads me into one of the things I want to try exploring a little bit for this video, which is just different methods of putting the blankets together. When I saw those black and white squares, I could tell that the person made those squares using the Granny Square All-in-One yarn. And that had me thinking, I want to see if I can assemble blankets with Granny Square yarn. Another thing that I was working on off camera, but I will show you, I started kind of implementing that. Okay, the pink squares obviously are some of the donated blanket squares that I got in, the box, right? I actually have a habit where I will take scrap yarn from a lot of my projects and then make them into granny squares. I have like a whole like little tote bag just filled with granny squares. And so I actually had the idea where, because I wanted to connect the blanket squares with granny squares, I started taking the squares from that pile and just kind of assembling them together, kind of like this. For these, I kind of whip stitch them. And then I had the idea where I would have like row of granny square, row of granny square here, blanket squares here, and then another row of like smaller granny squares there, and then just kind of keep going on and on and on. I really like how this is going so far. I'm not doing this again, but I really like how this is turning out so far. Please ignore the end. Don't worry about that. But that's just kind of like the progress I have on like this blanket in particular. I don't want to make that blanket too big because I don't think I could mentally handle it, but I just really liked the idea of it, I thought it was really cool. And so that's one blanket idea I had. I kind of wanted this video in general to be focused on alternative ways to join all the blanket squares together and just like creative ways I'm doing that. So obviously that square, I'm kind of connecting them with granny squares. This one, I intentionally grabbed all knit squares and then I connected them with mattress stitch, that's what it is. I connected these with mattress stitch and then I just need to add a border. But I was thinking a while ago, I saw a bunch of videos of how to add an I-cord border. And so that's kind of what I save this for, is to add an I-cord border to, these knitted blankets. I think that'd be really cool personally. So I want to try that. I also want to try adding like an I-cord join to the squares too, but that one might be a maybe situation, because if I hate doing the I-cord join for like squares, I'm not going to want to do a whole blanket of them. So that one might be a TBD. That's kind of what I have to start with for this video, and let's just kind of go along and just make blankets, I'm thinking the end of this video will be when I fill a box full of blankets, which will probably be maybe like 5 blankets total. Of those 5 blankets, that might include the Persian Tiles blanket that I had completed a while ago. If I get lucky, I will complete 5 blankets, but we'll see how far I get just because it is a lot of work to connect these blankets together, and I've been kind of focusing on other items that are not blanket making just in my personal life. So that's why you haven't seen one of these videos in a while.
So without further ado, grab your needles, grab some yarn, and let's get knitting. Wrap your yarn around your needle and pick up that extra stitch. And then, just like with an I-cord, you want to slide your needle down so that your stitches move to the wrong end of your needle if it's in your right hand, and you want to move that needle over into your left hand.
I think this might be my favorite border. One, this is incredibly easy, mainly because I know how to do an I-cord, but also this looks so clean. It's very sturdy, which is good, and like these knitted squares were kind of like rough looking at the edges. Prior to me adding the border, it was like kind of iffy, but honestly when I added it, it looks fantastic, and it looks so clean too. So I think I might be doing an I-cord border for future squares I put together because this looks wonderful. Maybe I should do this for crochet squares too, but that one's TBD. I know how to do an I-cord, so this helps, but it's gorgeous. This is just gorgeous. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Look at that I-cord edge. Everything is so secure. I kind of love it. I just need to weave in the ends and then I will be done with this blanket. And we have this blanket completed. I am so happy with how this edging turned out, and I think I might actually do this for future knitted squares in this collection. The I-cord edging really cleaned up a lot of like some of these not so great ends. Everything just looks so like nice and put together with the I-cord edging. I love it. Like I'm so happy with it. I'm definitely using this in future blankets just because it's so good. I will say doing it was kind of a pain, but I like the look so much that it's not a problem to me. Now, having done the I-cord around the entire perimeter of a fairly small blanket, I don't know if I'd like an I-cord join, but that's what mattress stitch is for. I'm definitely gonna compile all the knitted squares together and see if I can get away with just putting together knit squares, and then on those blankets I'll put an I-cord edging. But yeah, this is done. I can put this in my box. And so I have one box with a decent amount of blankets. That's kind of full right now. So I know in this video I wanted to do a total of 5 blankets in a shipment box, right? I have about 3 blankets that I have previously completed either through previous videos or just doing it off screen. So that technically is blanket number 4. So I'm definitely gonna have to work on blanket number 5. There's a possibility for blanket number 6 in this video. We'll see. But I still have some squares I want to try joining with other methods. And I'm gonna show you some footage that I took a while ago of me kind of showing you how I've organized the squares of some sort, because I think that's kind of important. So I have a tendency to like push everything that I don't want out of sight in this pile right here, which includes most of the squares from my box of 500. On one hand, it's kind of shrunk since I first got it, but on the other hand, it's still taking up a lot of space in my room, and I should probably get rid of it. So there is a slight method to the madness here. So here in this bag and also here are squares that I have sorted out by, I can tell that the same person made this, if that makes any sense. And then I've also pulled out knit squares here. You can kind of tell like these look
like the same person made this. And I've also kind of organized a couple of these by like potential blanket designs. Like I pulled out all of these, for example, because I could tell the same person made this. And I was thinking of putting all of these together in one blanket. Similar case to these, like I could tell, I mean, the same person made this, and so I want to have a motif where all of these yellow squares are the same blanket. I think that would be really nice, and I was thinking of pairing it with these white squares. I also pulled out a bunch of these double knit, like I guess not double knit is the wrong word, but like this is obviously 2 strands of yarn, and they just knit it together into a bulky knit. I think I pulled these out and paired them together. There's not enough to make a blanket, but I have started making a scarf with I-cord edging, so I was thinking of pairing these together in a scarf, so that way I can, in like kind of one of those like blocky scarves almost. But this looks good, but I feel like I might have used too thin of a yarn. Maybe if I had a border, it'll look better, because right now this is looking a little funky. But that's kind of what I have so far. But yeah, I want to pair these together in a scarf. And then there are a couple of squares that I couldn't find alternatives for, kind of like this one, where I might just redonate. It's okay, in my opinion, if I redonate like maybe 1 or 2 squares, but I don't want to redonate all of these, which is why I haven't gotten rid of it yet, because it's a little overwhelming to kind of go through these.
Okay, so I'm about to leave for a trip soon. I took the day off from work, but my flight is at like 5 p.m. and it's 8:50 a.m. But while I'm just kind of sitting around and doing nothing and not thinking, I'm gonna work a little bit on putting some of these blankets together. This one is the scrap granny square connecting blanket that I mentioned earlier. I got my scrap granny squares, put them together, and then I've been sewing them on like this. Again, it looks really cool, and I'm sure it's gonna look super cool once everything is like actually put together and stuff. But right now I am using Mattress Stitch to connect these, and I do have a feeling I'm gonna be using Mattress Stitch in the future, but TBD on that, because it's just a pain to put everything together, all things considered. I definitely am using Mattress Stitch for like all the knitted squares, but for the crochet ones, I may still get away with doing the single crochet joining. A lot of people's preferred method of joining granny squares is slip stitches, but I actually do not like that method at all. I think, in my opinion, that's like the worst join. And not necessarily to say that it looks bad, it's like the worst join for me, because I can never figure out how to do it right. And also, I think because I have fairly tight tension, I think if I were to try and slip stitch all the things together, it'll just look bad and super warped. And so I don't think me slip stitching squares is a good idea. But yeah, that's kind of why I never liked doing slip stitch. And then prior to me finally figuring out Mattress Stitch, I was actually doing whip stitch for a lot of my projects, or for other granny square projects I would do join as you go, because that is my preferred method of joining things. It's more seamless and it just makes things easier. But now that I know how to do Mattress Stitch, I think I'm going to be doing Mattress Stitch like forever and ever. And let me show you real quick a little, I guess, tutorial on how to do Mattress Stitch. The camera placement's not the best here, but let me show you how I do things. So the thing is that you need your right sides to actually be up, and that was the thing that kind of confused me about Mattress Stitch earlier. So what you do is that you kind of have like a ladder situation. So right side up, you go into that back loop up, right? And then on the other side, you find another back loop of some sort. You just this one is like a corner, so I'm just making up a back loop. And then you also go up like that. And you can kind of see like here, there's like a ladder situation. And so then when you pull it tight, it makes it very seamless and very sturdy. And that's roughly how you do mattress stitch. So let me go again. So back loop of your work facing up right here. And then back loop of the work facing up right here. And you just keep doing that. So right here. And right here. And that's how you do mattress stitch. And obviously it looks like this. You can see this zigzag pattern. You pull it tight, it's nice and flat. Okay, so here's the thing. I finished sewing up everything, but it looks wonky. But I don't want to change it right now, so I'm not going to. I'm going to need to add a border to this and also weave in all these ends. It's done, kind of. It's a little wonky. The squares are not lining up as much as I would have wanted them to, but it's okay. It does look really cool, but I still have all these ends to weave in, and I'm going to make that not today's problem. But yeah, take a look. It's pretty neat. I am never doing this again, but I like how this turned out. I think this is a good lap size blanket. You know, it definitely keeps your lap warm. This is almost completing a second blanket, which I guess makes our blanket total, I don't know, I'll watch the video and put the number in the edit somewhere down here. But once I weave in these ends, I will think about what else to connect. Also up here, I finished it off with this scrap thing of Caron Simply Soft using the crab stitch border, or also known as the reverse single crochet. I think it rounded out quite nicely. I think I prefer this type of border for these types of blankets because, I don't know, I know the scalloped border is pretty popular, but I find that this is like a more logical border, for lack of better words, because it reminds me almost of like that blanket stitch edging that I've seen, you know, if you know what I'm talking about. Because in my opinion, scallop borders are cute, but I personally cannot have all sides of a blanket be a scalloped border, right? Because then I don't want the scallops in my face if I'm sleeping. With this type of border, you can have all sides of the blanket in your face while you're sleeping, and it rounds it up quite nicely, and it's cute. So, yay.
I just finished the perimeter granny squares weaving in of ends, and wow, that took forever. Now I just have the middle part right here, and I'm slowly but surely chipping away at weaving in these ends. Also a little bit of an update on the direction I plan to take this video. This is probably the last blanket I will complete in this video. I kind of made that decision primarily because I'm moving soon, and I just need to get some stuff out of my place right now, and a giant box of blankets is one of them. So I want to get this done, ship out that box, and just clear some space from my room. So that's a little bit of the update on this blanket. I've just been slowly working at it. There are so many ends. This is what happens when I don't weave in my ends as I go, but here I am, suffering the consequences of my own actions. Because I was gonna go by myself if no one wanted to go, and they were all like, yeah, we wanna go! To start the decreases, to do the, I have weaved in every single end, and wow, I don't want to do that anymore. So now I can put this in the shipment box, fill out the donation form, and send this off. And it will be great, and I can get this one box out of my room. So that concludes the 5 blankets that I'm shipping. 2 of them were made in this video, but I still want to kind of explore the joining of squares using like an I-cord join. I don't necessarily want to commit to an entire blanket, so what I've decided to do is do a scarf instead. This is what I have so far of the scarf. I took, you can see the edging right here. It's not bad. I essentially have to add one more little square before I'm done with the scarf, and then I can add a little border, weave in my ends, the drill. However, I'm really glad I decided to do this type of join method as a scarf and not as an entire blanket, because I have a feeling that if I were to have done this as an entire blanket, I would have lost my mind. I'm glad I was able to fulfill that sense of curiosity and like that desire to try something new while also not losing my mind. I'm gonna join this last little square onto the scarf, make the border with the I-cord edging, which I do actually like doing, and I'll come back and finish off this video when I'm done. Hey folks, it's me again, and I have finished the scarf. It's very cute. Look at this I-cord edging. I love it. The join is just okay, but the I-cord edging, chef's kiss, right? Now for all the blankets I made in this video, I've gone ahead and packed them up in a box. This box right here, I have the label printed and everything. I just need to actually drop this off at the post office. Haven't, because I've been busy and I didn't feel like driving to the post office, but it will be dropped off. There's like 5 blankets in here. It will be one thing out of my room. For the scarf, because right now it is summer, and as I filmed this part of the video, it's July 5th, Warm Up America has explicitly said, hold off on your hat and scarf donations because they don't want them, because it's summer. So I will be holding on to that until the fall when they start asking for donations, and at that time, that's when I'm gonna send it. But to wrap up this video, we tried 2 different techniques of joining the squares together and getting a little bit artistic with it. One of them I love, and the other one I'm never doing again. I'm never doing that granny square
border again. I only did it out of a curiosity, but not again. But the knit I-cord border, I am 100% doing again. I think every time I find a knit blanket, I am doing an I-cord border. I actually love doing it that much. It's like the kind of slow that's so worth it. Specifically because it holds everything in together. A kind of floppy, loose blanket is genuinely held together and more structurally sound with the I-cord border. So I am definitely using that technique for future blanket joins whenever I eventually get through that box I got last year. Actually, probably 2 years ago at this point. That's how long it's been. But with that, I'm going to conclude my video here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!